Good afternoon and welcome. BOTSTEM is an Erasmus Plus project with partners in Spain, Sweden, Italy and Cyprus, with three main objectives, which are to improve the acquisition and competences in STEM subjects, to increase the quality and integration of long-life training aimed at teachers through virtual learning environments, and to improve the public image and perception of science and technology with an early intervention in STEM integrated with a gender-based approach. In order to achieve these objectives, we have developed a new methodology, gender-inclusive and STEM integrated with robotics and programming, fully in line with formal childhood and primary education curricula and its purposes. The material produced has been tested by preschool teachers in several schools in Spain, Sweden, Cyprus and Italy, with promising results. These materials are free and they are available at the BOTSTEM website as well as at Scientific's repository. These online conferences are the perfect ending for this project. Before introducing our guest speaker, we would like to remind you to write your name and country in the chat as a presence check. Thank you very much and enjoy the event. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos. BOTSTEM es un proyecto Erasmus Plus con socios en España, Suecia, Italia y Chipre que tiene tres objetivos principales. Mejorar la adquisición de competencias científico-técnicas en las disciplinas STEM, mejorar la calidad y la integración de la formación a lo largo de la vida dirigida a maestros y maestras a través de entornos virtuales de aprendizaje y optimizar la imagen pública y la percepción de la ciencia y la tecnología con una intervención STEM con enfoque de género desde etapas iniciales. Para lograr estos objetivos hemos desarrollado una nueva metodología, inclusiva en cuestiones de género y STEM integrada con robótica y programación, totalmente en consonancia con los currículum de la escuela infantil y primaria y sus propósitos. El material producido ha sido probado por maestras y maestros de educación infantil en varias escuelas de España, Suecia, Chipre e Italia, con resultados prometedores. Estos materiales son gratuitos y están disponibles en la página web de BOTSTEM, así como en el repositorio de Scientifics. Estas conferencias son el final perfecto para este proyecto. Antes de presentar a la persona invitada, nos gustaría recordarles que es preciso que escriban su nombre y país en el chat, para poder así controlar la asistencia. Muchas gracias y disfruten del evento.
Good afternoon. Today we are pleased to present Alexandros Kofteros with his talk about how to organize robotics and coding events during COVID-19. Alexandros Kofteros is a primary school teacher in Nicosia, Cyprus. He's co-founder of the Cyprus Computer History Museum and Matisisorg Research Organization, and has more than 15 national and international educational awards, including best practices and innovative practices. His research interests include one-to-one computing, parental involvement, and online learning platforms in primary education.
I would like to thank you for this opportunity. It's my pleasure to be here today. And hopefully we will have a very interesting discussion afterwards. Now I'm quite aware that as teachers, academics, parents, we have all been affected greatly by COVID-19, and hopefully our health is a primary issue, but we also have to see how we can continue our lives under these new conditions. The context of this presentation are quite thorough. First of all, we need to discuss why do we need robotics or even coding events? And do we need them in the COVID-19 era? We're going to examine how the European Code Week and European Robotics Week, two very important European Union Commission initiatives, will be implemented this year, and of course how to support teachers online with their everyday practice, even when their children, students, are at home and working online. I'm going to present you a good practice for a cross-curriculum integration during COVID-19 from the previous period, And we're going to end up this presentation with a methodology on hybrid teaching. The first topic is, do we really need robotics events? If we look at what's going on globally, we can see that there is an abundance of robotics events. We've got First Lego League Explore, Discover for younger ages. We've got the World Robot Olympiad, we've got Robotics, and we've got a lot of other very, very important robotics events. These are quite important in some sense because teams are organized very early in every school year in order to compete with others in various tasks. I develop a robot that can perform line following path in a very short time. In some competitions, teams have also must also create their own robot. It has to be in specific design, have to take very interesting considerations in order to be able to fulfill the task within the parameters of the competition. These team members, they have to collaborate and they have to prove during the competition that there was an actual collaboration. So apart from having to decide which team is the best competitions, what competitions do, they promote the teamwork. They give team members an incentive to work in order to improve the robot. To use one of the competition's new terms, the importance here is not in competition per se, but in competition. That means we collaborate, we cooperate, and we participate in a major event in order to improve ourselves. These events are a very good place to not only to participate with your project, but also to socialize with other teams and other team members and actually learn from them. So it's not just a festive occasion where students, they go there to have fun, not just to compete, but it's also a place where students can learn from the other teams. They can get ideas and they can improve the robots. So if one year the robot you developed and you designed and you spent many hours on it hasn't delivered, maybe you can learn from your competitors. Maybe you can improve it next year. So we got a lot of events like Lego Sumo, line following, maze solving. And we can learn a lot from this, even if we prefer one type of competition over the other. Unfortunately, due to the COVID situation, such events where many people are gathered in the same place is not possible, at least not in the way that we want it to. So all the major events have been cancelled. Health is above anything else, so this is something that we expect. Every single major event has been cancelled, and some events are also going either online using a virtual presentation, using short videos, or they broke down the events into small groups from place to place, so at least some of the groups can participate. This situation is also disrupting the way we teach programming, we teach robotics, both in schools, in the morning schools, and also in afternoon robotics or coding academies. Because the same rules apply here, we cannot have large numbers of students in the same place. We cannot have students sharing the same equipment because of health issues. So students, even if we allow small teams within the same classroom, it's very difficult for them to work as a team. What we used to do up to a year ago, we used to organize events, games, and activities that promote programming. We also bring them down to the classroom level with presentations of simple robots, and with the students then allowed to work in small teams, share components, create their own robots. Of course, unfortunately, this is no longer something that is feasible. Therefore, we have to see what alternative we can do. One alternative is to go completely online using activities rather than actual hands-on equipment. And this is where two major EU Commission initiatives come into play. The one is European Coding Week, usually held in October, and the other is European Robotics Week, held in November. If you go online to the codeweek.eu website, here we can see a lot of information regarding this year's event, which is also going to be completely online. Fortunately, there is a lot of information and practical material that allows the classroom, either if it's part of the morning school or an afternoon academy, to take coding completely online. We can, as teachers, create an activity that will be held with the students, regardless of whether they'll be in the classroom or they'll be working from home. And we can organize our own coding events during the 2-week event in October. There is also a lot of training material on the website, the codeweek.eu/training, that allows teachers to organize either completely online activities for students or to download and distribute unplugged activities, paper-based, for our students. Whatever we choose, it's almost certainly available, because this is one of the most comprehensive set of material available online. There are also videos explaining how we can use unplugged activities, and also lesson plans, structural activities, and even student tracking through the Code2Dork website. This is populated by hundreds of activities, both online and also unplugged. Unfortunately, we might want to take it completely online, or at least for this year. We can either send a specific URL to our students in order to work with some of the activities, or we can even create student accounts so that we can actually monitor the progress of our students. It is amazing what is available on the Code2Dork website that can be used as part of the codeweek.eu activities. And this is also broken down into various age groups. Plus, it is also translated into into all EU languages. If you want to go on robotics, then things get a bit harder, because robotics are not just programming. Robotics, it's a lot of different subjects as well, and we actually have to deal with it. Fortunately, there are online activities where we can actually design and build a virtual robot. Alternatively, we can go back to nearly 2010, where we used to say one laptop per child. Now, maybe it's about time we start discussing about one robot per child, low-cost Android-based and then Arduino-based robots that can be developed by students, and maybe exchange information online in order to improve it and collaborate in development. The European Robotics Week is held in November, and again, through the website, we can find a lot of activities, and we can also include our own country and activities on the map, so that everybody else can follow our activities and can work with us, collaborate, or even learn from us. In order to do this, teachers who are less experienced, they need support. And it's very important that we provide support for the teachers online in order to be able to use some of the tools. Even teachers who are competent in using robotic kits, programming, they probably don't have the necessary skills on how to take it online. Fortunately, this is something that can be done nowadays with the equipment we already have on hand. Mostly we need a very good internet connection and good cameras in order to communicate with the apps. Lockdown still gives us a possibility to work with our students even if there is a lockdown. In some cases, we are already seeing lockdowns taking place. In Greece, for example, some areas have closed down for a few weeks, and unfortunately, this is something that we might see coming our way very soon. We all hope that any lockdowns will be in specific areas and for a very short duration of time. We have to be prepared for every eventuality. In order to help teachers improve their skills on how to work with the students online, we can use the BOTSTEM VLE, which is an open virtual learning environment for students, teachers, and policymakers. On the BOTSTEM VLE, we have created and gathered good practices and support for teachers. And we also have limited role, but we still have the capability to support school classes on the VLE that is based on Moodle. And here is the VLE with the main course being the material we have created for teachers and also the webinars we have so far delivered during the last year. All the BOTSTEM material is multilingual in Spanish, Italian, Swedish, Greek, and English, so it is accessible by anyone. If the person doesn't want to create an account, that's not a problem, because all the material is open and there is unlimited access to it. We have also open access to the webinars we have already delivered. One webinar was specific on European Robotics Week, and another one was on robotics. And we also have taken into account the requirement to use games for teaching, coding, and programming to students. So we have a special course where we have managed to gather the most popular open access games that teach programming to students. In order to help teachers assess their student competency in STEM subjects, including coding and robotics, but also enable students to assess themselves, we have created and integrated on our VLE BOTSTEM game, which is actually a marathon of questions on STEM subjects. It's also multilingual, and we have a very friendly environment where students can actually test their knowledge. Now, these are all well, but how do we cope with the students when they are at home in case of a total lockdown? If they are in classroom, it's very easy to distribute material and to even organize things, not as a team, but maybe exchanging ideas and suggestions. So that's type of teamwork. What we did during the March to May lockdown in Cyprus was integrate coding activities within the curriculum, taking a cross-curricular integration. We also used the VLE, similar to the BOTSTEM VLE, in order to bring together students, the parents, all the content, and of course the evaluation. Now, for VLE, it's not necessary to use Moodle. We know that a lot of teachers prefer some other environments. For example, one VLE that was used was ClassDojo. It's a very friendly, user-friendly VLE that is open access and it's also multilingual. This is especially designed for younger students. Using such a VLE can enable teachers, if they don't want to go to something more sophisticated like Moodle, to create their own activities and deliver them to students in a very easy way. It also allows the teacher to be able to communicate with the parents. And during the lockdown, or even partial lockdown, it's very important for us to engage the parents. Now, for this example, we use the cross-curricular integration in language, teaching grammar, in mathematics, geometry, and in coding. So we used specific textbook grammar exercises from the 4th grade, where we have to use to give instructions on how to create this very nice image you see on the page. In order to help students with the grammar, since the time we had online was very limited, and usually when we have online lessons, we have very limited time with live synchronous conferencing, we used a methodology that is called flip learning, in that we try to take most new type of knowledge using videos, and we use the actual screen time that we have for communication with students to explain things that they have some difficulty with for practice. So we found some very good quality videos online, and we deliver them to the students and ask them to study them, very short videos on the grammar. Then we went to the 4th grade math book, where we actually have these pages. They have to design geometric shapes, giving instructions. It's quite reminiscent of Logo, because that's what the entire aim is. So in order to do that, because we didn't have the students in a classroom, we send them the link to this Angry Bird-based game on Codor website, where they have to give precise instructions in order to progress from one level to the next. So students were actually learning how to code by giving precise instructions. Then we came back to the textbook, and students had to write actual instructions on how to create the shapes, of how to go from one place of the page to the other. So we went back, before moving forward to more difficult and complex activities in the textbook. We went back to the code.org, and we found some activities where the characters can actually design geometric shapes. Now, this is based on the very famous Frozen movie. So essentially, what we can do is, by taking a cross-curricular approach, we can help our students learn the actual curriculum that we have to cover, but at the same moment, by locating suitable activities, we can also help them to learn how to code. Obviously, this is not something that we can do in every subject, but this is something that we can integrate with great ease, and we can hit two birds with one stone. This is metaphorical. Please don't use violence. Of course, we extended the knowledge of our students and their skills by taking them on the Berkeley Snap. This is a Scratch-based application where it's more of a logo drawing shapes by using commands. It's also open access, and it's also multilingual. So what we did, we asked our students to create shapes using the Snap environment. And then we moved back to the textbook in order to recreate some of the shapes. But also, we asked them to explain to us how many places and where they should move the shapes. Now, this is the transformation of shapes. So what's the best way to do that, to help them learn that? Well, the best way for us was to give them a Tetris game. HTMLtetris.com actually it's free and it runs on any website, on any web browser. And this is very important because we gave them Tetris and they played Tetris, and we divided the students into two groups, and we saw that two equally competent groups. And we saw that the group that actually played Tetris before working on these two pages were much more confident in solving the activities. Now, the problem with this approach is that the benefit of this approach is that students appear to be more eager to work during the e-learning phase. Prior to that, we had little participation from them, but by combining cross-curricular activities, we managed to increase their interest. And this is something that we can do it whenever it's possible. However, it took us too much time for preparation, and we also had some difficulties, technical difficulties that we cannot overcome. Now, the most possible scenario we might face, and this is something that is being talked about both in Greece and in Cyprus, is that in this school year, we might need to resort to hybrid teaching. So the question is, hybrid teaching is we have half the students in the class, the other half are at their home, but they're also participating online. So how do we do that? Again, we need to use some kind of a VLE, like the BOTSTEM VLE, or another Moodle website, or even ClassDojo, or whichever teachers prefer. And again, we have to build our material within this environment. We have to build the activities. We don't have to spend a lot of time creating activities because we can just go to the code.org websites or the European Week of Code websites or Robotics Week, and we can get activities from there. Or we can go to the BOTSTEM VLE where we have a list of very important open access activities, and we can combine them so that we can very easily create entire courses for our students. And of course, we can also work with our students, and they can work at the same time from school and also participate online. This is something that is quite hard, but this is something that we are trying to prepare for the new school year. Half the students in the classroom and the other half online. Hopefully, by combining all the resources that are freely available and by giving special emphasis to hands-on activities, because this is the main benefit of the coding activities, that you get immediate feedback. And this way, we hope we'll be able to cope and engage our students in the subjects. We encourage the cross-curricular activities. STEM subjects are cross-curricular by nature, and we see that this is something that students really need. In order to take this approach, however, we have to take into account that part of the classroom is in art school, and the other half are not. So whatever we do, we have also to upload the material either real time or later stage for the students who are at home to participate. Younger students, they need their parents to be present, which can be quite taxing for parents skipping work. But this is probably a scenario that we will have to face in the next few weeks or next few months. The plus with this approach is that the lesson is recorded in real time, and students who are absent can either participate or watch it later on. And students, of course, who cannot attend, they can't participate and they don't skip the lessons. However, it requires the student to participate in real time, which can be hard if they have any connectivity problems. And this is very taxing for parents because for younger ages, the parent will have to be a co-learner with their child. It will be very easy to organize such activities if you have the equipment and we're talking about common subjects or even coding and programming activities. However, it's going to be hard when teaching robotics because most schools don't have the capability to deliver one robotics kit for all students. Again, we can resort, however, to virtual kits where students will be able to assemble virtual robots and program them accordingly. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of watching this presentation. I hope I haven't gone too fast through the slides. I'll be very glad to answer any questions and hopefully engage in fruitful discussion. Thank you. How do we deal with the problem of the digital division? Okay, this is something which is very troubling. For the past 10 years, I have been working in public primary schools, which are considered to be disadvantaged. In March, the Ministry of Education asked us to deliver very cohesive, very complete, situation of how many of our students don't even have access to computers and tablets. And it seems that almost 10 to 11% of students, they don't have access to technology, which is troubling. The Ministry of Education officially has announced a strategy to deliver to each and every student that comes from a financially disadvantaged family access to at least a tablet and internet connectivity. This is something that the ministry managed to do for all secondary education students back in April. So hopefully, if we are expecting the Ministry of Education to deliver, and we believe they have every reason to, so that at least every child will have at least one device and internet connection from home. Yes, we have been experienced for the past 6 years a real boom in interest in including coding and robotics in the classroom. Actually, for the past 4 years, we have been, I'm part of a group, including the Cyprus Computer History Museum, and we have been organizing morning workshops, 3-hour workshops on coding and robotics. And these are workshops that schools can visit. And we had more than 3,000 students attending with their teachers. And teachers were also willing to continue working at school. We also have the officially Hour of Code every December, which the Ministry of Education, Cyprus, in collaboration with the University of Cyprus and Microsoft, they are touring the schools and they are delivering coding workshops. So there is a growing interest. Also, the Ministry of Education has integrated robotics in the 6th grade design and technology class, and it has been sending at least one robot per year to every primary school in Cyprus. The secondary school, they already have more equipment and robotics kits, so it is integrated in the curriculum as well. Okay, this is very interesting. First of all, as a teacher, I try to see the benefits of STEM subjects. Actually, I want my students to be to have an inquiring mind. So we take a project-based approach. We don't just teach code by giving them code. We also do that. But personally, I love the project-based approach. So we always start with a problem, usually small, so that they have to use coding skills or they have to use material in order to solve the problem. Now, the problem might be something as simple as I want to have a mechanism that automatically opens my car door when my car approaches, or something much more complex, like a robot that can perform 4 or 5 different tasks during a short time. So what I suggest is a project-based approach. The short answer is no. The short answer is no, and this is something that it became quite evident in March. I think that the very common misconception, at least in Cyprus, is that we think that because children can use a mobile phone from an early age and a tablet from an early age, and they can go on YouTube or even use Viber, that they have digital competence. They don't. They don't actually. We spent almost 1 month, the first month, we were working endlessly in order to support our students in doing basic tasks. Of course, the good thing with students is that once you give them the basic skills, they skyrocket from there. It becomes second nature. So they don't have they didn't have the basic competences in order to work online, but once they learned, it became second nature. And this is a very good question because we started schools in Cyprus. Students came to schools on 14th of December, and as a teacher, I've been doing 2 things actually. I've been doing revisions because this year I've got a 6th grade, and at the same time, I'm teaching the basic skills because I know that we won't have an excuse if we go into lockdown that we weren't prepared. So I'm giving them digital skills that I know they will be required. Thank you.
Alexandros, thank you very much for your interesting talk. We hope we are going to see how we can deal with all this, especially with the robotic competition, doing it online. So thank you very much.
Thank you.